Hey, it's GW coming to you live. Hey, listen, I put up that thing about Pump Up the Volume, but what people don't know is there's another picture that was before Pump Up the Volume, released in 1988 by my man Oliver Stone. It was called Talk Radio. And Talk Radio, basically, Eric Bogosian plays the lead role of Barry Champlain. He is a shock jock whose show is about to go national in the film. And he's battling a lot of demons, including his ex-wife and censors and a bunch of other stuff. However, this is not just a fictional story. The real-life Barry Champlain was named Alan Berg. He was a shock jock and lesser-known shock jock, and he was gunned down by a crazed listener. Portions of the movie are sort of geared toward Alan's story, as well as a play that Eric Bogosian wrote. I bring this film up because it came up in a topic of conversation today, and a lot of people haven't heard about it. And if you haven't heard about Talk Radio, I suggest you check it out. Again, it's probably one of the better films I've seen from the 80s. It also is one I've seen multiple times. The one thing that would stand out in this film is that the camera never really leaves the studio. The story never leaves the studio. But in doing some checking, the one thing that is interesting about this film, other than the Alan Berg fact, is the fact that it was made for $400 million. That was the budget. It came close to equaling out the budget. So in other words, folks, it wasn't really a popular picture back in the 80s. But yeah, check out Talk Radio. It's a nice comparison piece to the Pump Up the Volume video I released earlier. And I really think that this picture is underrated. And, you know, do some research about Alan Berg. Apparently he was a big deal. Roger Ebert had sort of met him a few times and has also critiqued a Talk Radio film. He gave it 4 out of 4 and said that the real Alan Berg asked him to come on a few times. Alan Berg, I guess, had a reputation for being a little rough on guests. So, if Roger Ebert says it's 4 out of 4, and it's directed by Oliver Stone, I mean, what's the chances that it's going to miss? Now, this was Oliver Stone in the 80s. We're talking, you know, Platoon, you know, this movie, Talk Radio, and basically I think those are 2 surefire hits from the 80s. Platoon I'll be talking about later on. If you haven't seen it, y'all should go check it out. But anyway, do yourself a favor, and if it's raining this weekend, check out Talk Radio. It's a very good, underrated film, and I don't believe a lot of people have heard about it. I myself, like I said, have seen it multiple times, and it's still amazing to me that this day that, like I said, the camera never does leave the studio, which makes for an interesting sort of piece of film. And check out Alan Berg. And, you know, get educated on some of these things I talk about. Anyway, GW coming to you live. Peace.